Unit 4 review. Number 1 tells us that we want to find the slope, to determine an equation of the line with the slope of 1/3 that passes through the point 3, -2. Okay, because it gives us a point and a slope, we're using our point slope form. Now, I've already labeled the slope and the point, and all we're doing is literally plugging in points. So here, this was a -2. Now, some of y'all already know that you can go straight to the green line, but I'm showing those that don't that extra step so that they don't get lost. And then we're plugging in the slope for 1/3, 3 for x1, and now if it was asking for point slope, we would stop at the green line. Because this isn't specific, I went ahead and went one extra step. So here I distributed the 1/3 to the x and the -3. So 1/3 times x is 1/3 x. 1/3 times -3 is -1. So now we need to get y by itself. We get y by itself by subtracting 2 to both sides. This cancels out. This side goes away. And we're left with -1 minus 2, which is -3. So that is in slope-intercept form. So that is number 1. Okay, number 2. This is a stat question. Remember, in stat, you do all of these in L1, all of these in L2. Sorry, I had to go get a calculator. So in stat, I would type in all these. So just to show you all very quickly, I type in 12, 9, 6, 3, 0, -4, 1, 6, 11, and 16. Go over to stat one more time. Over 4. Enter 5 times. There's my equation. So there's where these numbers came from. Now, how did I get that 1/5? How did I get the -5/3? I kind of showed y'all this in class on Monday. I apologize. And you type as many 6s as you can until you get that arrow to come up here. So if you look, there's my arrow. You can type 7 if you want, and then you press math and enter twice. So there's where the -5/3 came from. So now it's just a matter of plugging in these points, or these numbers, I apologize. So y equals -5/3 x plus 16. Number 3, what I'm going to remind y'all of is you're going to have multiple choice on this problem. You're going to want to solve all of them for y, and then you're going to use m and b to plot the points. So here I would go down 1 over 2. That's where I got -1/2. And then the y-intercept's at -2. That's where that -2 came from. So remember standard form. That is y equals, standard form is ax plus by equals c. So that's called standard form. Again, on your test tomorrow, you're going to want to solve for y, and then see which one comes out to the graph that you need. Alright, this is another one that you can put in stat. It's asking for the equation of the line. I'm not sure what happened on the day we did this together, because I didn't get the same equation that we originally got. So I would type in -6, 0, and 3. Remember, L1 is where all the x's go. And in L2, I would type 29, 5, and -7. Stat over 4. Enter 5 times. There's the equation, y equals ax plus b. We're plugging those numbers, and that's where that equation came from. Number 5, we've already kind of talked about. The only difference in number 5 is that it's telling you that you have a line that's parallel. So you'll need to remember that if it's parallel, the slopes are the same. So since it's the same, we look at the slope here. So since the slope is -1/2, the slope that's parallel to that is -1/2. So the slopes had to be the same. So here, then you plug this in. Remember, all you did is plug in this number. A lot of y'all can jump to this step. That's okay if you can jump. If not, just remember that two negatives give you a positive. So 2 negatives give you a positive. And now here you would distribute. That's where that -1/2 came from. This times this is +2. You want to get y by itself, so you subtract 2 to both sides. And then +2 minus 2 is 0, so that's why I didn't put +0. That is your equation. Remember number 6, I told you you're going to have to make sure you know what perpendicular is tomorrow on this test. Remember, perpendicular, you're looking at the slope, and the slope has to flip signs and change, it has to flip the numbers and change the signs. Just as a quick refresher, if you had a slope of, let's say, 6, perpendicular to that would be -1/6. Just like, let's say, 7. Perpendicular to that would be -1/7. So just keep that in mind for tomorrow's test. Alright, so again, you're given point and a slope. You're literally plugging in numbers again. There's nothing to simplify here. So once you distribute, you had to add 6 to both sides to get x, to get y by itself, and you get -4/3 x plus 10, because 4 plus 6 is 10. Number 7. Number 7 says it wants a line that's perpendicular to the x-axis and has an x-intercept of 10. So what you're going to do is you're going to draw, here's your x and y axis. I drew an x-intercept at 10.5. If I want it to be perpendicular, it has to go straight up and down. If I went horizontal, then it would be parallel. So if y'all remember Hoy-Bucks, since it is a vertical line, I need the bucks, and because it's asking for the equation, I know x equals 10.5. Alright, so this question specifically says we're going to write the equation in point slope form. So once we're done with this, we don't have to do any extra steps. We don't have to solve for y. Once we get the numbers in, we're done. So y'all should know that the 1 is x1. This is x2. y1, and then this is your slope. So you're literally plugging in numbers. There's a negative minus a negative, your -1/3, and then your 1 goes down. The only thing I need y'all to remember is that 2 negatives, or plus a negative, gives you a positive. So that is your equation. Alright, so when we talked about this yesterday, I told y'all that when you have years, you want to make sure your very first year listed is year 0 and then it continues. So I've already entered some of this into the calculator. So if you look, here's the calculator. It has all the points listed. Then you go stat over 4, enter 5 times. This is where these numbers came from. Remember, you're rounding to the 100th place, which is the second decimal point, which is why this went up to 19. It didn't ask for the the correlation coefficient. So I wrote that down anyways, just so that you guys know what that number is. Remember, the R is the correlation coefficient. And just in case y'all have forgotten, that's where you need to turn your stat diagnostic on. And remember, I'll show you how to do all those things tomorrow before your test. So we're using these 2 points to plug into this equation. So this is where the equation came from. Alright, now this one was asking for a line of best fit, and you're approximating or you're estimating 17 years. So if you get your line of best fit, remember this is your outlier. If you come up, your best estimate would be anywhere between 70 to 74,000. Now your answer choices are going to be obvious tomorrow which one it is. So again, you drew your line of best fit, went to 17, saw that it touched right here. That would be anywhere between 70 and 74. Some of you guys estimate a little bit differently. Alright, so this problem was asking you to compare 2 lines on a graph, and I graphed it. So I went to y equals, I typed in both equations, and I graphed. So this is kind of the estimation of what it looked like. So it wants to know, how did you get to g of x using f of x? So if you look, to get from here to here, I had to go down, and that's 7 units. And then if you look also, this line is steeper, so that line became flatter. So that's all you would look for. Now it could be worded differently. It could say the graph became flatter and shifted down 7 units. You just need to know how it changed. Okay, I don't know if y'all remember, I said yesterday that I didn't care for this problem all that much. I just need you to know tomorrow on your test, when it has this problem, you need to know that it's looking for the slope. So you should know that the slope is negative because of the way it's slanting. Just in case, remember, this is positive, this is negative. So the way it's going, it's going down, which is this slope right here. Now, how did I get 1/3? Well, remember that it's rise over run. So I go up 1 over 1, 2, 3. So I went up 1 over 3, and it's negative. That's where that number came from. All right, your next problem. All right, there's the correlation coefficient. So I've already put in these numbers. I need y'all to remember, when we're talking about years, we start at the 0, and if you look, the years go up. by 5. So I put 0 through 25 by 5s. Then I put L1, I put all the y's. And then I do stat over 4, and I enter 5 times. Remember, the R is the correlation coefficient. So you're looking for the R. That's 0.48, and that's where that number came from. Alright, and this was the last one that we talked about yesterday. You had a scatter plot that shows the average test scores over hours spent studying. They want to know what conclusions you could make. There's several conclusions you could make. Specifically, yesterday we had said that it is a positive correlation, and we also said that the more hours you spent on studying, the higher your test score would be. And if y'all have any questions, if it's before 10 o'clock, you can text me your questions on Remind.